city right now. Go to your mother's in Vermont.
What the hell are you talking?
Something awful is happening.
The eclipse is making everyone nuts. The whole city's losing their minds. It's like Judgment Day.
But it isn't safe here. It'll be dark soon.
FBI.
Okay, Doc, stop right there.
Oh my God.
As far as I'm concerned, eclipse is French for happy hour.
The Strain.
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, The Strain, Episode 6, Occultation. I know we said last week's episode was called Occultation. We were wrong. Alonso, Bibbs...
falling apart now when I was gone.
Clearly, yes. Ryan is back now. Thank heaven. Worm-free as far as we know.
Ryan,
so The
tell
Strain.
us about The Strain. What do you mean? We missed your opinion for a while.
Yeah,
give
man,
us,
this
give
show
us
is
a sit
falling
rep.
apart.
This show or The Strain is?
This show is. The Strain is. No, The Strain, listen, man, again, this is a guilty pleasure show for me. I was explaining to somebody the other day that it feels very 90s, and it feels strange to say that something feels 90s, but they got it as soon as I said that, because the characterizations are so broad on this show, so really weird, and I can pinpoint that to, you know, this episode specifically, the FBI agents. The FBI, the hard-edged FBI agents.
I'm not listening to you. Yeah.
God, those FBI
You know, the
agents.
characterizations are really broad, and they're being really focused. Like, if this show came out in the early 90s, around the time that It and The Stand were on air,
I told
you know,
I've said something multiple times. It's like a Stephen King miniseries,
it feels
but too
like that.
long.
But I mean, they're maintaining that. There's still no complexity
But
to
I'm
it.
enjoying that.
Yeah, no,
though.
so am I, yeah.
This is like a nice piece of parfait at the end of a proper Sunday night of TV watching. Like after The Leftovers is done, after Masters of Sex is over, then there's The Strain, and you can shut that whole brain down, and it's great.
Brain down, but I am getting a certain pleasure out of a series in which a guy with no nose walks into a stark white set.
I
and
love
has
this
a
joke.
guy-
Wait till you hit the punchline.
And has a guy that's chained to a wall, and he just starts cranking him onto this like
And
platter.
it doesn't even mean anything. It's nothing.
It
It's
goes
just the way
nowhere,
it is.
yeah.
I'm sorry, if you have a tongue that can extend 20 feet, you don't need the chain and
No, that's just him being a douche about it. You know, like that's just him being an
That's a
a-hole.
Nazi coming out of it.
I guess.
I was like, this is the eclipse episode, and they started building this up last week that there was going to be eclipse, and oh no, vampires could come out in the daytime. One vampire can come out in the day. That was a ripoff.
Well, they started.
That was so lame.
The whole series was built on the eclipse, even from the beginning of the the ad campaign. We saw this eclipse coming over New York City, and the thing is this whole episode they're going, oh my gosh, there's craziness in the streets. There's all this stuff happening. You're not. You're telling me, but you're not showing me, and that is a big
And then
problem.
when the time came to show it, literally not only just this one vampire, he just gets everywhere in New York, runs into every character. That was such a rip. I could not believe they actually got away with that.
Just to make sure that people at home know, there's no such thing as eclipse glasses. That you can't look at an eclipse. You have to like hold up a cardboard and have it reflected. So if anybody tries to sell you eclipse glasses, don't look at the eclipse. You'll go blind. Seriously.
Yes, thank you.
End of public
correcting-
service announcement.
Thank you for correcting the science on this vampire series.
Yeah, that's the thing. I said, Dave, there's no such thing as eclipse glasses. He goes, there's no such thing as vampires either.
Right.
It's like, okay, fine.
So really, whose fault is it? Whose fault
$2.
is
There were
it?
$2.
That is very
there were
reasonable
$2.
for a pair of eclipse glasses.
Yeah, this
So-
was a kooky episode.
But look, things are happening at least. I mean, you know.
That's the thing we can always say about any episode of The Strain. At least things are happening.
Yeah, but look, the more that they're running around and doing, plot stuff, then we can pay less attention to the actual terrible characterization. So, all that the ex-wife's new boyfriend has to be is a Quisling. We don't know, that's all we need from him. And so he turns in Ephraim, who gets arrested by the FBI, and and of course then he tells them everything, and of course they're not buying it for a second.
And just once,
why would they?
Just once, when someone gets like arrested by the cops erroneously in a horror movie, just once, tell them a plausible story. Don't tell them exactly what's going on. Tell them what they need to know. And he finally gets there at the end, where it's clearly what he's trying to do is he's trying to get them to a place where there are going to be vampires. They'll have to concede the truth.
Right.
But start there. He's an intelligent guy. Like,
They just don't cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a timing problem here? Because I could have sworn they put him in the interrogation room, but then he was like, let him cool down a little bit. Maybe he'll figure it out after a day and a half.
No. And then they come in, and then after they start talking to him, they say like, I knew we should have let him sit for a day and a half.
I missed
which
that.
is lazy writing to begin with.
I missed that.
Because like they're trying to make it suspenseful. Like, oh no, F's going to be in there a day and a half. So much can happen in the series.
I would take such a long nap.
And then like they just then they just a couple of scenes later, it's like, nah, we decided screw it. Like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, because I cut to the
terrible.
ex-wife and she was like having some wine. She was talking about how the ex-boyfriend didn't call her back, and I was like, oh wow, time is really passing here. This is really crazy. And then they got back and the FBI conceded.
So now Sean Astin is now a double agent. Is that the thing?
Sean Astin does what he has to do, but I get the feeling that he's not very passionate about it.
Like he's still working
Kinda
for the
like being in
Nazi
the
guy,
Strain.
but he's also being a mole against the Nazi guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever he
his
can.
motivation is whatever he has to do for his wife, and he, and I was out for this episode, but 2 episodes ago, he said it twice. He had to say it twice that he was doing everything for his wife, even though I think he was saying it to the same person too, which drove me nuts.
They just weren't getting it.
Let me tell you guys, this show is really fun to watch on an airplane. I watched the autopsy sequence on an airplane, and the person next to me nearly lost it. It was so fantastic. Anyway, side note, but yeah, the whole thing with Astin.
Especially not the pilot on an airplane.
Yeah, the Astin.
The pilot of the show,
pilot.
not the actual pilot.
Yeah, the whole thing with Astin, it's just like he's back and forth and flip-flopping, and it's like, oh,
Can we talk about the way in which they managed to make Kevin Durant's character even more awesome?
Oh, he's great.
He's so great.
Yeah,
and by
he's
the way,
great.
no one
and
on
he's
this
an
show,
architect?
the only person on the show who has a name is F. Everyone else is just the actor playing them because that's what they're doing. They're using shorthand. So Kevin Durant, not only is he like the world's greatest exterminator, which already makes him a badass in New York City, but he turned down like a full ride scholarship to go to architecture school. Like that's like, now I get it. He's cool. As if I hadn't picked up on that before.
He needs like
That's
a
so
cool like
great.
Ninja Turtles name. He reminds me of like a Ninja Turtles character. This
He's
came
like
out of
Casey
nowhere.
Jones. Like you just expect him to like. That's the thing. I keep expecting him to by the end of this season, series, whatever, just be like covered in like rat catching gear and like tearing into vampires in like Main Street or something. That's
Rat catcher, vampire hunter. That's
done.
I'm in for that.
It's
sold.
funny 'cause I'm reading this Guillermo del Toro book, and Guillermo said that he loves to put sketchbooks in everything that he does. That way he could take that prop home. And sure enough, Kevin Durant is sitting there sketching away in a book at this diner. And I was like, there's Guillermo's prop.
There is so little attention to detail on this series in terms of like, the plot points and everything that when there is like a detail, it really strikes me.
Yeah.
And there was one moment that occurred to me. I was watching the show. There was a pizza place in New York City, and not one but 3 different exterminators were eating there. And it occurred to me, that's the pizza place to eat at in New York City. Find the one that all the exterminators eat at, and that's the place to eat.
I did like the notion of Vampire Wake. That where he goes to the house in Queens where the clearly a like post funeral reception was taking place and everybody gets infected, priest included.
I kind of wish I had seen that scene though, where they're having a way like, oh Gus, I always missed him. I never told him that I loved him. Gus is back. Gus.
If you're going to show us an aftermath, that was kind of a cool aftermath where the table's still set.
Yeah.
I thought that was an incredibly effective scene too, because I mean, for the eclipse being such a bust in terms of the action department, that was a really intense scene with Turek. Is that his name? The old man with the Turek.
Yeah.
Again, names. I mean, that was a really great scene because he's
Armenian vampire hunter.
Armenian vampire hunter. I like that. That's a new film at Fox. So yeah, I like that whole moment where because I mean, like he had the bit with the medicine and all that stuff. I mean, that was a really intense moment.
It's good that they remembered that he's ridiculously old. Because like they keep portraying him as a badass. He knows what's going on, but he's also not physically capable of doing everything that needs to be done. So that sequence was very suspenseful. It had kind of like a first-person shooter aspect to it. Like, oh no, I have to backtrack. Oh no, I forgot to check my corners. But there was this one really creepy shot that I really liked in that, where he walks into the basement, and it's just like this like hive of vampire heads just leaning into each other very intimately, almost sexually or familially in a way, and that really skeeved me out. That was a really creepy moment. I give him credit for that.
Graphic novel-like, because I remember they adapted this for Dark Horse Comics, and I was like, oh, that feels like something that they just lifted right out of that, which was really neat. I like what's the boxer's name? I'm forgetting the boxer's name. Anyways, I like the boxer versus the medical examiner medical examiner guy.
Medical examiner guy.
Yeah. These names, Jesus.
Fat guy, and then
All
there's
of that was fantastic.
and then I'm hoping that Dementia Mom and Illegal Alien Mom eventually like get an apartment together.
Oh no!
I don't know.
That's a delight.
But at least now Mia Maestro has come
show.
around to the yes, we must kill everyone side. That's a plus.
No, I'm totally digging this show. Again, it's kind of crap, but it's so much fun to watch this crap.
No,
At no point
absolutely.
does this crap think it's anything better
No,
than
no,
it
no,
is.
no, no.
And that's refreshing because there's so many TV shows out there with a silly concept or whatever, and they're trying to make it seem so important, and they just don't have the juice to back it up. Here's one where we don't have the juice to back it up, so we're just going to make it, mush. We're going to make it like the KFC original bowl of TV. You're just going to throw everything together, and you're just going to sit there and eat it. And I love every second of it.
I'm not bored.
I'm
not bored.
I'm
So,
waiting for Blade. I'm waiting for the Reapers from Blade 2 to pop in.
That would be great.
Sprinkler
Finally.
system of blood, whatever,
Yeah.
So this is a show, and
It's
it's
the
still
stream,
on,
guys.
and it's what you signed up for, I guess.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So back at you next time.